So my path to writing was a bit non-traditional. I was a psychology major and did a number of different jobs after I graduated from college. I worked for the Social Security Administration and worked as a direct care worker with children in state custody, and then at some point I found myself unemployed or underemployed and then unemployed, and I started writing poetry, which is something I'd done when I was in high school, and yeah, just slowly graduated from there. Started writing short fiction and short stories and was having a lot of fun with it, so I continued. Craft elements, I like to write pretty brief scopes. Like a lot of my stories, both of my novels occur within very short spans. My first novel, The Last Days of California, takes place over maybe 3.5 days, and it's divided by Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then ends on Saturday morning. And Biloxi takes place maybe over a 10-day period, so I like really compressed, sort of like where you can really look at somebody's daily activities, the characters, and everything that happens in a very brief time span. So I'd say that's something I'm really interested in. I'm not interested in epics or, skipping a lot of time. I'm like interested in a character's life at that moment and trying to capture it. I'm definitely inspired by other women who write short stories. I found Mary Gateskill pretty early, and Susan Minot. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I love Donna Tartt's The Secret History, which is completely different, but she's a Southerner. She's from Greenwood, and I've read that book probably more than any other. But yeah, a lot of women writing short stories, kind of writing about women's lives. Yeah, that's a challenge because I'm also a teacher and have things to do, and a lot of times writing can seem like the least pressing thing. Oh, you can put this off. When I'm working on a longer project like a novel, it is often easier to stay involved just because you have to have a consistent writing routine and be writing regularly in order to finish it. And it can be really fun just kind of living in the world in an intense way. With short stories, yeah, sometimes it takes me a week to finish them, and other times, as I was telling you at lunch, it might take me 12 years just because I'm not ready and I don't know the ending, and I'll put it away and come back to it years later. I think it changes, like kind of what you like in your own work. My first book is called Big World, and it's short stories. They're some of the first stories I ever wrote, so I'm more attached to them, I think, than any others, just because they represent my first attempts at writing. But I really like all my stories because they feel like kind of time capsules, and they capture an essence of you, where you are in that place and time. Even if it's completely fictional, you still can remember, like, oh, I was living here when I wrote it, and I was doing this thing and working this job, and so it can kind of bring your life at that time back to you in a really interesting way. So I look at them like that and appreciate them each.